From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight,
APC presidential candidate meets religious leaders in Kano, says he's contending with two other candidates. President Muhammadu Buhari pledges to investigate herder farmer killings in Benue. Price of cooking gas continues to escalate, rises to over 85% in 1 year. On the foreign scene, car explosion, gunfire hit hotel, kills 3 in Somalia's Kismayo. Hello and welcome. Presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, has narrowed the 2023 presidency to 3 contenders as he met with clerics and religious leaders in Kano on Sunday. A total of 18 parties are fielding candidates for the number 1 position in the land, but Tinubu told his audience that there are just 2 persons he would be contending with in February. Although he did not mention the names of the PDP and Labour Party candidates, it was clear he was referring to Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. APC vice presidential candidate Kashim Shettima, however, gave context to Tinubu's comments at an interactive session with leaders of the Tijaniya sect in Kano on Sunday. Shettima said Peter Obi called Lagos home, not Ekulobia or Okwa, because Tinubu had provided the template that made Lagos the most peaceful state in the country. Aiming a dig at Atiku, Shettima said Tinubu would not divide 50% of his time in Dubai and 50% in Nigeria.
Nigeria is going to remain one under God, and just revert to the first national anthem. Though our tribes and tongues are different, in brotherhood we will stand. The next stanza is talking about service from God, the Creator. If we serve well, we get the reward.
All Progressive Congress APC presidential candidate in 2023 elections, Bola Tinubu has donated 100 million naira to flood victims in Kano. Tinubu announced the donation during a dinner organized in his honor by Kano Business Community Council on Saturday in Kano. The presidential candidate called for sustained prayers to end flood disasters in the state and the nation in general. Tinubu said the donation was aimed at alleviating the sufferings of the victims in the affected local government areas. The APC candidate said if elected, he would ensure that Nigeria's diversity served as a source of prosperity for all. He noted that the federal government has taken several measures to build infrastructure and improve the ease of doing business across the country. Hundreds supporters of People's Democratic Party in Jibia local government area of Katsina State witnessed defection of APC members to the PDP. The decampees were received by the PDP governorship candidate Yakubu Lado Damarke, Senator Ahmed Baba Kaita and other PDP chieftains. In Katsina, Abdullahi Yamadi has the details of this report.
Among the defectors is the former special advisor to Governor Masari on vocational training, Aminu Lawal, and many other prominent politicians from Keita and Jibia Federal Constituency. Let me ask Jibia people, what did you benefit from the state and the central government? Do you want to continue like this? I'm giving you assurances that PDP will come to your rescue. The defectors list failure of the APC-led administration from inconsistent economic policies, insecurity, hunger, and starvation affecting Nigerians as reasons for the defection. They said a country like Nigeria, which is endowed with a lot of potentials, its citizens does not deserve to be subjected to hunger and abject poverty. We are receiving these people today as a first step aimed at ensuring that all our members who went other political parties returned to PDP fold. In the next couple of days, you'll see how we'll be depleting the ruling party. The defectors said border closure imposed by APC administration subjected people to difficulties. Political defection from one party to another is an integral part of party politics in Nigeria, particularly during electioneering. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Hundreds of angry youth in the Asian city of Katsina blocked Kofar Ndaka Masanawa Ungwariari Road, protesting against what they called APC's misrule in the state. The protest, which lasted for over 3 hours, forced movement of commuters plying the road to a standstill. Abdullahi Amadi reports.
This is the second time angry youth are protesting in Katsina State in less than 3 months. The protesters are also lamenting lack of commitments and concern from the political actors, especially on pressing issues such as insecurity and provision of social amenities, among many others. I'm assuring you that we will start mobilizing youth across Katsina State to disregard APC, and let's come together and support the party that has the interest of Nigerians at heart. The angry youth say they want nothing from the political actors other than purposeful leadership that can provide security and opportunities which will enable them explore their potentials. The APC leadership in Katsina State has failed us. They promised us so many things and failed. Our electricity transformer was faulty for over 8 months and nothing was done in spite of all our reports to the relevant authorities. The dynamics of the state politics may become even more unpredictable, with many politicians cross-carpeting from one political party to another ahead of the 2023 elections. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, in Rivers State, Senator Magnus Abe, has called on the people of the state to come out en masse and exercise their franchise at the forthcoming election in the state. Abe gave the charge while addressing an unprecedented crowd of his supporters who thronged Port Harcourt, the state capital, during the party's 1 million man march ahead of the next year's poll. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Addressing the teaming supporters at the Polo Club, Senator Abe encouraged them to see the power of their PPCs as potent enough to decide who becomes the next governor of the state, as no one can subvert their collective will.
In 141 days, Rivers people are going to have the opportunity and the privilege to decide their own future. It is you, not anybody else. It is not the governor, it is not the senator, it is not the minister, it is not the honorable, it is not the jamo that will decide who will preside over the affairs of the state. It is you, the people of Rivers State.
The SDP governorship candidate, who was visibly elated by the support he received from the electorates across gender, age and ethnic divides, danced to the admiration of his supporters, whom he promised better days ahead.
My friend and brother, Governor Wike, will leave office on the 29th of May next year. So he is the outgoing governor of Rivers State. Myself, Magnus,
Magnus Abe, a former senator under the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), decamped to the Social Democratic Party (SDP) when he lost his bid to fly the flag of the main opposition. He believes he is the candidate to beat in the Rivers State governorship election scheduled to hold next year. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
That's quite a crowd, isn't it? Now, as politicians canvass support for electorates in different constituencies for their candidates in the next year's general elections across the country, many electorates have been exposed to messages from the major political parties. Trust TV's Adamu Imam in this report takes a look at how these smaller parties are making efforts to quicken the major ones in Bauchi State. Let's report.
Over time, political campaigns have mostly revolved around the major political parties until this year, when parties like the Labour Party and the New Nigerian People's Party have changed the political landscape. Recently, the Labour Party hosted its vice presidential candidate Ahmed Detti at a stakeholders meeting in Bauchi and vowed to woo voters, especially in the northern part of the country, for the party. The state chairman of the party, Hassan Saraki, told Trust TV that they are gathering momentum to sell the party to the electorate, hoping to cast their votes for Labour candidates in all positions.
To change this country from consumer nation to producer nation. That alone, if we do, we will be able to create a lot of development to our people. As a nation, we will be able to create a lot of job opportunities, which inevitably will now result into creating wealth and peace and security in our nation.
Beyond the Labour Party, other political parties are also gearing up to upstage the PDP and APC in Bauchi State.
We are able to identify a credible candidate, and these two major political parties, they have tried their own luck, and we can judge them, and now we are after the candidate. And the 2023 general election is not about political party, it's about the candidature of the person that contests under the umbrella of the party.
Then, based on the analysis on ground, if you see, you can observe that people are deviating from PDP and APC, which we consider as the major political parties in Nigeria, because of so many reasons. One of the reasons is that those major parties make their issues to become monetary.
APC will be the one to look for our party, not we looking for the support or merger or alliance or whatever you may call it at the end of the day, because Nigerians are looking for change, the real change. Now our polity or our manifesto is issue-based.
Meanwhile, the major political parties in the state, the ruling People's Democratic Party and the main opposition party, the All Progressives Congress, are keen in maintaining their lead in the state. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The action plan of the APC presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, which was unveiled on Friday, may be vague in its presentation, but is hinting that the mode of delivery of government services would change drastically if he becomes president. The APC presidential candidate says his agenda for renewed hope for Nigeria will stand on the foundation laid by the current administration, but will go further by building a country, especially for the youth, where sufficient jobs with decent wages will create a better life. It may mean that President Buhari's hopes that Tinubu would consolidate the achievement of his administration may not be as clear-cut as it being painted. Kinde Amodu looks at the play of words between the two important figures which will shape the nature of campaigns. His report.
A look at the APC presidential candidate's speech shows that he is carefully playing a middle line. At no point has he castigated the Buhari administration. In fact, what he has done is amplify the good things that have been done right by the government in power and promise that he will build on them. In turn, the president is confident enough to assert that he will lead the Tinubu campaign.
Based on our unshakable faith in our people and standing on the foundation well established by the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari,
I therefore want to assure all party members and supporters of our government that I will be at the forefront of this campaign.
But under the camaraderie, a close look at the promises shows an intention to completely overhaul the system of government. For instance, Tinubu is promising to turn the economy around so that all Nigerians and their children will not go to bed hungry under his watch. The underlying message is that under this administration, people are hungry.
We seek a Nigeria where no parent is compelled to send a child to bed hungry, worried whether tomorrow shall bring food. We assure you there will be plenty of food to feed your children.
One of the open secrets under the Buhari administration is the failure of the power sector. And so when Tinubu says he will provide sufficient and affordable electricity, he's in turn saying efforts to provide the commodity under the present administration have not actually met the mark.
We will modernize and expand public infrastructure to stimulate economic growth at an optimal rate. Generate, transmit, and distribute sufficient, affordable electricity to give our people the necessary power to drive their businesses and brighten their homes. Bearing in mind, there's no successful industrialization is feasible without constant electricity at the right price.
For now, many of those promises unveiled under the program of action are not clearly spelled out. And on the flip side, President Buhari's promise to lead the Tinubu campaign is vague. This may be just a play of words between two politicians. What is obvious is that you cannot make an omelette without breaking an egg, which may mean if Bola Ahmed Tinubu does become president, something must shift. Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Some groups in Kaduna State are lamenting their non-inclusion in the just concluded interactive session with presidential candidates organized by the Joint Arewa Committee in Kaduna. Speaking with journalists in Kaduna, the leaders of the groups demanded that a comprehensive blueprint of the challenges confronting the North and how such challenges will be addressed should be submitted to the presidential candidates before the 2023 election.
The Joint Arewa Committee said the interactive session was to interface with the presidential candidate in order to know how they intend to address some of the challenges bedeviling in the North. These groups welcomed the move behind the interface with the presidential candidate, but decried their non-inclusion in the exercise.
Joint Committee of Arewa actually is just some selective number of groups that are not more than 5, which are, even if you look at it within its own membership, these same 5 organizations, a lot of members within them were not even consulted or involved. I, for one, I'm not just a member or a convener of Arewa Consultative and Synergy Congress. I'm equally a member of ACF. And being a member of ACF, I feel it's my right to know if ACF is going to engage itself into such activity. But the motive is quite a good one, but the kind of move is not really a welcome one for now.
I am also a member of ACF, but I'm not aware. For every meeting of ACF, I receive a text message, I attend a meeting of the ACF, and I participate fully. But for this one, I saw that ACF is part of it, but I was not informed, I was not aware. And it was not too long when we held a national executive meeting of ACF, and it was not mentioned there.
The groups want a written agreement between the North and the candidate in order to commit them to addressing the challenges confronting the North.
That is why we are faulting the whole thing. It is we that are supposed to present our own agenda to them. That's exactly what should be. The ideal thing is Arewa, all-encompassing, should be the one to set the ball rolling. You as a candidate should fall into our own demand, our own agenda. That's how it is done.
Are you supposed to call this presidential candidate for them to tell you what they intend to do for you in the North? Or you are supposed to call them and tell them this is what we need in the North? Read through, agree, make a pronouncement, and let's sign an agreement publicly before the world that you have agreed to the terms and conditions of North and Northerners if you want North and Northern vote. If you want to be elected by Northerners, Northerners are presenting to you the Northern agenda. This is our agenda. This is what we need. This is what the Northerners want. This is what we are expecting from you if you become a leader. If you agree, you sign publicly. All the representatives sign. We agree that there is a pact between the North and a presidential candidate A, presidential candidate B, presidential candidate C, and all the 18 presidential candidates.
The groups urged the electorate to obtain their permanent voter card and vote for credible leaders in 2023. From Kaduna, Bello Musa reporting for Trust TV.
The Senate Deputy Major Whip Aliu Sahabi Abdullahi has stressed the need for state houses of assembly to strengthen the legislative powers of the parliament to serve as effective pillar of checks and balances rather than serve peculiar interests. Abdullahi speaks against the backdrop of some 25 state houses of assembly declining to vote on constitutional amendments transmitted to them from the National Assembly.
The issue of state police is something that has been on the front burner of national discourse. And of course, like you rightly know, there are proponents and there are opponents. And in all respect, all sides have their own very strong reasons. For me, there is need for state police. However, there are a lot of things that need to be done for it to materialize. And I think this is where the necessity for robust discussions is key. Ever since the dawn of this, democratic era, the resources were taken away. And of course, gradually, the capacity of these local governments to even deliver services became eroded. And out of that, the ungovernable spaces begin to widen.
Zamfara State Police Command has rescued 27 kidnapped victims from 3 forests in Zamfara State. The police public relations officer Muhammad Shehu, who formally handed over the freed victims to the Zamfara State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Moments Afi, on behalf of CP Kolo Yusuf, said the victims were abducted by suspected terrorists.
The 27 kidnapped victims rescued by the Zamfara State Police operatives were abducted by terrorists at Akawa, Gwashi, and Tungarogo in Ukuyum and Anka local government areas of the state. The public relations officer of the State Police Command, Muhammad Shehu, said the rescue of the 27 victims followed a report received by the command that a group of terrorists invaded some villages and abducted an unspecified number of people and took them to various forests where they spent a week in captivity. He said on receiving the report, the Commissioner of Police deployed additional police tactical operatives to reinforce divisional police officers of Anka and Ukuyum local governments and vigilantes in their search operation to rescue the abducted victims.
In continuation of its efforts to restore lasting peace and security in Zamfara State, the police command under the able leadership of the Commissioner of Police, CP Kolo Yusuf, PSC, has once again recorded another landmark achievement regarding the unconditional rescue of 27 victims who were abducted by a group of bandits from Gando, Bagega and Sonke Forest in Anka and Bokom local government area, respectively.
The State's Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Moments Afi, who received the kidnapped victims on behalf of Governor Bello Muhammad, urged the police and other relevant security agencies to intensify efforts to ensure they succeed in wiping out the terrorists in the state.
I doff my cap for the security agencies who definitely intensified unrelentingly their efforts to ensure the rescue. We have seen the value of intelligence, we have seen the value of synergy, we have seen the value of cooperation from all and sundry. I want to emphasize, this will reveal that there is further understanding within the community of Zamfara State that the business of security is no more the business of official engagements only. Everybody has a stake in security.
17 of the victims were brought to the police headquarters in Gusau, while the 10 other victims were in the hospital receiving medical attention following the trauma they went through in captivity.
The Department of State Security and the Nigeria Police Force in Ebonyi State have neutralized some members of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB. The members of the outlawed group lost their lives when the military joint force stormed their hideout in 2 separate areas in the state. The State Police Public Relations Officer Chris Anyau said this in a statement issued on Sunday. According to him, 3 IPOB suspects already in their net provided the evidence to the command, which aided the security agency's raid of 3 hideouts of the gang in the state. Items recovered from the gang were 11 bulletproof jackets, 8 sets of military camouflage uniforms, 2 camp gas cookers, 110 rounds of FNC live ammunition, 40 rounds of GPMG live ammunition, and 2 pro-electronic scanners, among others. Anyau further noted that the gang was also suspected to have taken part in the attack of the provost of Federal College of Education, Isu Onitsha, along Agba axis a few days ago. President Muhammadu Buhari has reached out to Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State, pledging the full support of the federal administration in assisting him and the people of Benue with resources to investigate the latest herder farmer killings. The president, in a statement issued Saturday by his spokesman, Garba Shehu, said it is unacceptable for lives to be taken by herdsmen and farmers alike. Buhari, who commiserated with the people of Benue State, said politics must be set aside to bridge divisions in the interest of all citizens. In the last 1 week, scores of people were killed after armed men opened gunfire on residents of Beji rural town in Ukum local government area of Benue State. The victims include villagers, herders, and at least 1 policeman. When contacted, the State Police Commissioner Wali Abbas said separate incidences happened around the border villages of Benue and Taraba states. You're watching News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up, how small businesses fight for survival. Details of the story after the break. Stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust Television. Our top stories. APC presidential candidate meets religious leaders in Kano, says he is contending with 2 other candidates. President Buhari pledges to investigate herder farmer killings in Benue. Moving on, Borno State Governor Umar Zulum says he will close all IDP camps outside the state capital, Maiduguri, in the next 2 years. Zulum disclosed this during the commissioning of 804 housing estates from resettled IDPs in Mafa local government area. The governor appealed for humanitarian support for flood and cholera outbreak victims to enable them handle the after effects of the disasters.
Communities to be rebuilt, more infrastructure to be provided, a stronger system of government to be instituted to serve our people. While we will continue to show leadership, I call on our partners and supporters to continue to help us with advice, technical inputs, funds and skills to bring back the glory of the land of Borno State. Today we have seen the devastating effect of the 2022 floods in Borno State. We have been grappling with the outbreak of cholera in some places. I take this opportunity to call for additional support from the humanitarian and development partners to come in and fill the gaps where needs have been identified. The challenges are many, but we intend to continue addressing them constantly.
Dependence on relief, dependence on humanitarian assistance to the recovery and restoration of normal life with means of livelihood assured and will need hope and dignity which is abiding. The federal government of Nigeria, led by Mr. President, is fully committed to this approach because this approach is an impactful one that leads to stabilization and will continue to provide the necessary, the federal government will continue to provide the necessary financial and especially security support for its success and for the success of this transformative initiative.
Everyone is involved and convinced. We hope that our assistance but not only our assistance, as I said initially, it was the courage of the people of Garanam that this together will set an example for other communities to follow so that Borno State and the Lake Chad region can once again be an area of stability and peace.
The need for commercial drivers to collaborate with security agencies to curb the menace of the criminal elements on the highways dominated discussion at a meeting between Road Transport Workers Union, security agencies and other stakeholders in Kaduna. Participants believe that commercial drivers are vulnerable on the highways as they often kidnapped or killed by criminal elements.
Drivers always ply the road, especially the highways, conveying passengers and goods. But the current security challenges made drivers vulnerable to attack and kidnap by bandits on the highways. In view of this, drivers and older road workers are urged to be security conscious while on the road and also report to security agencies any suspicious movement on the road.
The insecurity affects almost everybody if it affects the entire economic system of the country. And you know, transportation is one of the movers of the nation's economy. Think of anything you can think, it has been brought closer to you by transportation. And if the road is not secured, the road are always bandits attacking the road. Nobody is scared to travel so that you can get the economic activities moving.
Overloading is one of the causes of accident on the highways. The meeting therefore advised drivers to adhere to rules and regulations of traffic, especially in the ember months.
Even this return marshal, which was launched last month, the purpose is to maintain security in the loading point with collaboration with some of the security agencies, so that our operation basis should have a little confidence to those promoters who are traveling within our best, so that we can try and liaise with the law enforcement agency and to assist them whatever we can do. There are a lot of things that cause accident more than even overloading, but we are not encouraging overloading. Nobody should do overloading. We have to maintain.
It's not necessary that you will take the goods that 2 vehicles can tow, you can take it in 1 vehicle. It's not even advised. And anybody who has been caught doing so, they have to stop the vehicles and upload those goods. We are not encouraging over our lady. We need to maintain the law.
The stakeholders at the meeting believe that with intensive sensitization, the rate of road crashes, especially on the highways, will be reduced. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
3 persons lost their lives after a truck crushed a taxi at the Obada area of Abeokuta, Ogun State on Sunday. The spokesperson of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Ogun State, Florence Okpe, who confirmed the incident in Abeokuta, said 5 male adults were involved in the crash. She added that the vehicles involved were a Volvo mini truck with no registration number and the taxi, a Nissan car marked AKM 489ZY. Okpe disclosed that the injured victims have been taken to a general hospital in Abeokuta for medical attention, while the bodies of the deceased victims were deposited at the same hospital's morgue. Senator Tankwal Mokura, representing Nasarawa South at the National Assembly, says considering the roles the game of playing cards is giving in promoting peace and unity, government should have a legislation that would promote the game in the country. The former governor of Nasarawa State said this at a grand finale of playing card competition organized by the African United Social Clubs of Nigeria in Lafia for the 13 local government areas of the state. He said as lawmaker in the National Assembly, he will be at the forefront to promote such legislation. Senator Al-Makura, who described participants of the game as those who engaged in one form of business or the other, explained that playing the game is promoting their well-being and understanding among them and other people of the society. Also speaking, Nasarawa State All Progressive Secretary Aliu Bello said playing card is an activity that gives people a sense of socialization and relaxation.
Having looked at the trajectory of this club and what they do and the kind of people that belong to this club, not only in Lafia, but in the whole country, I feel it's high time government starts thinking about making certain legislation that will give some leverage to this club so that we can promote this kind of activities so that people will be able to have a good relationship that will be cemented towards ensuring support for government projects of government enlightenment and government sensitization. This can be a very useful vehicle for expanding the scope of government activities within any given society. So I am going to look into what I could do as a member of the Senate to see if there could be any legislation that could be brought to bear to promote this.
The playing card is a social recreational activity for people who engage themselves in their viable jobs. After the job, they come and relax. And that is why over the time we've been supporting them, we've been encouraging them to see that they also belong to society.
Youth in the country have called on the federal government and other well-meaning Nigerians to give them the needed support to enable them to be more productive and curb the menace of unemployment in the country. In this report, Trust TV's Kabir Lawal tells us how youth have devised means of cushioning the effect of unemployment by engaging themselves in jobs that put food on their tables.
Frictional unemployment is a period between jobs where a worker searches for or transits from one job to another. It is sometimes called search unemployment and can be voluntary, based on the circumstances of the unemployed individuals. It exists because both jobs and workers are heterogeneous, and a mismatch can result between the characteristics of supply and demand. Such a mismatch can be related to skills, payment, location, attitude, tastes, and multitude of other factors. Usman Umar, who spoke to Trust Television News, said he has devised a means of engaging himself in the business of laundry in order to make himself self-reliant. He further added that he has put smiles on the faces of youths that work under him as they have become more productive to the society.
You have nothing to do. That is when the evil
plan will enter your mind. Then you begin to plan evil of things. Like now, once you wake up in the morning, you have somewhere to go. Maybe you go and work under somebody, or you have your own shop, or you start up your own things. You see all these criminal of things, or all this kind of insecurity that we are facing. It will not much.
Umar, who said he could not further his secondary school due to the economic situation in the country, added that his parents were not buoyant enough to further his education.
After my primary education, then I moved to secondary. So then after I finished the secondary school, I've been looking for the admissions, and that time admission wasn't come through. And I said instead of me to just stay like that and be waiting for the admission, let me begin look for something doing.
He called on the government and well-meaningful Nigerians not to relent in supporting youths, as it will go a long way to not only make the youth more reliant, but also make them contribute meaningfully to the society. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Elsewhere, small and medium businesses in Nigeria are struggling to survive from imminent collapse due to harsh operating environment. Many are losing their jobs daily as a result of economic downturn, subjecting them to untold hardship. Trust TV's Abdullahi Ahmadi went round some business premises in Katsina, which were forced to close down.
In Katsina State, thousands of small and medium-scale businesses have either reduced the scale of their operations and downsized the number of their workers or closed completely. The reason some of the business owners advanced cost of materials has tripled, inadequate power supply, and reduction in the purchasing power of the people. Look at me, I'm a professional to the core, but I was sacked twice, and now scavenging, moving from street to street in search of electronics repairs. I have to do this to feed my family, who have gone hungry and malnourished. For instance, many suya and rye meat joints have closed down, with many of the operators either switching to another business or scavenging. This industry is seriously affected by inflation occasioned by inconsistent economic policies and escalating insecurity, which devastated animals rearing communities. This is my business premises, which I closed for over a year. I sacked about 10 of my workers and switched to another business entirely new to me. My primary concern is how to feed my family. School, hospital is secondary. There are more than 500,000 people along the value chain, but already over 70% have lost their jobs. The question many Nigerians are asking is in what way the billions of naira claimed to have been injected into the economy and its empowerment programs impacted on SMEs. Observers said many business owners who were forced to close down are depressed, facing a lot of psychological trauma. My shop isn't like this. There was almost everything you may ask in cosmetics shops, but now I have to manage the business. Everybody is now struggling to survive. I even thank God because many traders have been forced to close business. Many policies and initiatives aimed at stimulating SMEs have little or not translated into real growth. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Women and girls have been advised to embrace entrepreneurship to be self-dependent. Amid the harsh economic conditions in the country, stakeholders believe women's engagement in entrepreneurship would help resolve some family-related issues. Trust TV's Salulo reports.
Adamawa is one of the states affected by terrorist activities in the northeast. As part of rebuilding the economy, there are concerns that authorities need to do more to help women and girls who are believed to be most affected during the crisis. Some women said if supported, they can play a major role in reducing unemployment and as well contribute to the development of the state economy.
We don't want women to be sitting down at home doing nothing. At least have something doing. Be self-reliant so that you too, you can be something in your own community and you can help other people. So that's the main reason for the exhibition, at least to encourage our members and to motivate them. That we are in a generation whereby a woman cannot sit and fold her arms anymore. Yes, you have to come out and do something. Just going to the university and having your certificate is not enough for you in Nigeria. As you can see, even employment, you can finish, you can have your degrees, masters, but no work. So entrepreneurship is the best thing. That is what we always tell our members, and even those people that don't do business, like today, some people will come and see those people that are exhibiting and they will feel, okay, I want to do business. From there, they will join. Business is very, very important. It's like a life jacket to women and youths.
They also believe that help from governments at all levels, as well as private assistance, will aid the affected region to regain its stand in business and security development.
Doing this business, why are we even going into that? We are going into that to be supportive. Not that we don't want to be reliable. We will definitely be reliable. Even if you're getting 100 million, you will definitely be reliable because Islamically we are under them. But you are trying to be supportive. You have kids, you have families and so on. It will not be okay. I know some husbands are not disturbed about it, but it won't be okay that every time you're just trying to be reliable, help the generation and so on. You also want your kids to get up and see this as something that everybody needs, and it will help in eradicating a lot of things in Nigeria.
Stakeholders said the bedrock of every society is education, especially the girl child, adding that as women entrepreneurs, they are not relenting until they get the needed support. From Yola, Salihu Lawan, Trust TV News.
You're still watching news on Trust Television. I'll see you in a moment.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Moving on, in business, the average price of 5 kg of cooking gas increased from 4,456 in August to 4,474.48 in September, the National Bureau of Statistics has stated. It stated this in its Cooking Gas Price Watch for September 2022 released on Saturday in Abuja. that September price was a 0.40% increase over what was obtained in August. On a year-on-year basis, the September 2022 price of 4,474 for 5 kg of gas was an 86.62% increase over the price of 2,397.60 obtainable for the same volume in September 2021. On States Profile Analysis, the report stated that Kwara recorded the highest average price of 4,950 for 5 kg of cooking gas, followed by Niger at 4,941 and Adamawa at 4,928. It added that Abia recorded the lowest price at 4,044, followed by Anambra and Kano states at 4,100 and 4,109, respectively. The United Arab Emirates has slammed a fresh visa ban on Nigerians seeking to visit Dubai, a decision that would trigger travel crisis for travelers. The ban was conveyed in a notice issued to the country's trade partners in Nigeria by the destination management companies licensed to issue electronic visas to the UAE. This was coming weeks after the country tightened the visa requirements to prospective visitors to the country, requiring them to provide a 6-month statement of account. The requirement was further reviewed by the UAE and restricted Nigerians under 40, except couples, from visiting the country. But in the latest decision, the UAE authorities imposed a total ban, with many applications rejected. It equally specified that there would be no refund for rejected applications. The UAE authorities have not provided any reason for the decision, which trade partners said would affect flights to Dubai. The National Emergency Management Agency has received 542 stranded Nigerians from the United Arab Emirates. The head of press unit, NEMA, Manzo Ezekiel, who confirmed this in a statement on Sunday in Abuja, said the returnees arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and included 79 males, 460 females, and 3 infants. The Director General, NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed, who officially received the returnees on behalf of the federal government, admonished them to learn from their experiences and be law-abiding citizens. Ahmed, who was represented by the Director of Finance and Account of the agency, Sani Jiba, added that the federal government had approved the evacuation and provision of the token to support their movement back to their various homes. The Consul General of Nigeria in Dubai, Atinuke Mohammed, who accompanied the returnees back to the country, appreciated the federal government for the special intervention and the safe evacuation of its citizens. And on the foreign scene, a car laden with explosives rammed the gate of a hotel in the center of Somalia's port city of Kismayu and was followed by a gun battle that killed at least three people. A security official, Farah Mohammed, said in addition to 3 deaths, 8 people were wounded and taken to Kismayu Hospital. Witnesses said a huge blast was heard before a gun battle began. The armed group Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack. Kismayu is the commercial capital of Jubaland, a region of southern Somalia still partly controlled by Al-Shabaab, which was driven out of the urban center in 2012. The city's port had been a major source of revenue for the group from taxes, charcoal exports, and levies on arms and other illegal imports. More than 300 people have been mobilized to tackle a blaze on the slopes of Tanzania's famous Mount Kilimanjaro, with police and local people helping firefighters. The fire was burning near the Camp Karanga site used by climbers ascending the mountain at about 4,000 meters altitude on the south side of the mountain. Officials have not yet established how the fire started, but it comes exactly 2 years after another blaze which raged for a week in October 2020 across 95 square kilometers. No one was killed in that fire, and Saturday officials said that the current blaze did not threaten any of the tourists on the mountain. Kilimanjaro, which is popular with both trekkers and mountain climbers, is situated in the northeast of the country and is Africa's highest summit at 5,895 meters. And in sports, African Boxing Union champion Tony Salam has lost the WBC international title to WBC Asia champion Serdar Afchi after he suffered an injury. The two met in the ring on Saturday in Istanbul, Turkey, and Salam, who fights under Nigeria's leading boxing promotional company, Salah Gloves Promotion, unfortunately couldn't take the vacant belt. With the outcome, the Turkish champion's unblemished record remains undented as after he remained undefeated and added the WBC international title to become 2-division champ. Well, before we go, here's a kicker. A village party chief in southwest China's Xinjiang province has helped develop the rose plantation industry in the country of Xinjiang, which boasts the income of nearly 20,000 people. The local people gave up low-value added crops such as potatoes and beans and began to grow roses. Take a look.
A village party chief in southwest China's Sichuan province has helped develop the rose plantation industry in the county of Shaojing, which boosts the income of nearly 20,000 people. Chen Wanghui, who leads the Maoshui village administered by the county, is also a delegate to the upcoming 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China.
我们刚开始种植玫瑰呢，是从2011年说起。那个时候呢，我是茂水村的村长。这个老百姓呢，经常反映，这个野猪破坏他们的庄稼。那天呢，我们就到这个庄稼地头去看哈呢，就把土豆儿这些种完了。当时呢，发现那个地边有一株玫瑰，当时我就看到那个玫瑰花开得很好。 我说，要是玫瑰花能变钱就可以了。他们说为啥呢？我说因为这个我们就玫瑰花能变钱，我们就改变我们的种植方式，种玫瑰花。我说你看玫瑰花全身都是籽，没得粮食味道，野猪不拱它。
Led by Chen, the local people gave up low-value added crops such as potatoes and beans and began to grow roses.
在11年的时候，我就考察7、8个省，把这什么品种、种植环境、种植效益，整个考察完的时候呢，我在12年呢集中进苗，进了这个8个省的苗得集中做10年，经过10年当中呢，选有的品种。
Shaojin County boasts abundant sunlight and significant temperature differences between day and night, which are good for rose planting.
现在这个玫瑰出来了就，还特别对我们老年人还可以哦，老年人都适合做这种，活路也不多，也不费力。
我们现在种玫瑰呢，这个收入，反正就是我呢，反正就是4亩地呢，基本上最少都是4万，咋子就是再甚至就是4万、5万、6万多，就要达到这一点。我们一家3口人，随便这样子，基本上都吃喝都够了。
Today, under the leadership of the local government, the total area of rose planting and production has reached 15,000 mu, covering 13 townships and 46 villages.
Well, that's quite an interesting piece. With that, we've come to the end of News Hour for tonight. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Zainab Bala. Have a good night.